Our second panelist, a graduate of the University of Texas. And I believe I've seen all of his movies. The funny, the serious, and the cheap thrills. And I liked them all. Matthew McConaughey, make him welcome here. Tell us a little bit about what you do and why.
We started the Just Keep Living Foundation, and we picked out kids, and kids aged 12 to 18 are the focus right now, because after talking to people and talking to kids and then thinking about back in my life, what was the area when I could have gone left or could have gone right, and it was 12 to 18. You're old enough to be independent and start making your own choices, but you're still young enough to make some adjustments. And you still got time to set your course straight. I mean, our one-liner, our goal is to make boys and girls into great men and women through active lifestyles and healthy choices. We've got an after-school voluntary program, and we're working with community and schools at 2 schools in Los Angeles, at Venice and Hamilton. The kids come together after school, they learn some physical activity, they start the day by getting in a circle and having one thing to say they're thankful for, no matter how simple it is. That being gratitude is a linchpin in the whole curriculum, because it seems to me to be the one thing that reciprocates constantly and consistently. We've got guest speakers that come in, and the guest speakers is a real fun approach to the whole program. We're not just bringing in the most successful people in the world. We are bringing in success stories, but one of the guys who's come in was a guy who was in prison for 3 years, but now he's gotten out, has a great family, he's a successful music producer, and he got his life on track. The kids can relate to that. Some of these kids aren't from the best backgrounds and already have a bogey on their rap sheet of life. Somebody else we brought in is somebody who has inherited a lot of money, but has used that money well. Still has a great work ethic. Didn't waste it, didn't lavish his life up. Another person like myself can go in there and say, look, I had the opportunity to be raised by a good mom and dad, had a good upbringing, and I'm trying to do something with it. And I found that a lot of these kids at that age, you got to watch talking down to them, because you got to have some street cred, I guess is a good word for it at that age, because they're pretty savvy, more savvy than I remember being at that age. Another thing that we're doing in the foundation, we have a piggy bank for random disaster relief that comes up that we pull from. We did some stuff with Katrina, we did some stuff with a tornado in Barnett, and we just did some stuff over in Brazil, where my lady's from. And that's really just to provide some stability. I remember when I was in Mississippi after Katrina, there was a lady I met who just came back to where her house was, and there was now a cement slab. And he was like, what do you need? And she goes, well, I want to put a foot forward, but I just don't know where to step. And I think with some disaster relief, what you give is the basics. It's not a luxurious thing. You want water, food, find the rest of your family, medicine, shelter. And I think so. It's not providing any kind of luxuries. Hopefully it's just providing the things that give some stability to say, I can make one more step forward, and I've got some solid footing. And that's the stuff we're doing, and I'm trying to get into.
Let me ask you something. How many of these kids have you heard have trouble thinking of something they're grateful for?
More than you think. And we've tried to make it almost comedic. Like, it doesn't have to be, it's like if you sit around, you're going to say a prayer, people can really lock up. And you go, no, just say something you want to be thankful for, no matter what religion you are. Just say, everyone's got something to be thankful for. And some of them will just sit there for a while and kind of bob and weave, and we'll say, we'll be back to you. And they'll come back and they'll go, well, I guess I'm glad, I passed that class. Okay, that's good. That's a positive, no matter how small it is. But more than I thought would have something to be thankful for. But I found that once they get in the habit of saying, oh, like you said, what things do we take for granted to be thankful for? Once they got in the habit of saying, oh yeah, you know what? I'm not sick. My mom's not sick today. She was. Now we're better. Hey, the rent was paid. I passed my classes. Whatever those small things are that I think they maybe expected or saw as the normal, I think it gives them a little bit of a kick and incentive of things to be thankful for. I know for me, there's a lot of things we can learn from books in the classroom, but the actual getting out of the classroom, getting into something that's happening in your community, getting your hands dirty, is the lessons that I know. I remember a hell of a lot more than the ones I learned in the classroom. It's also active has been a word that everyone's been using a lot here. It's not it's not virtually helping, like being maybe looking online or at what you get from the television. It's actually getting some human contact, and it's something that can become fun and can incentivize each one of us. I mean, I was going to bring that up with all these people here. The kids that are here, you've already committed. But I know for me, and I think this is true for everybody, if you bottle the enthusiasm you've got now and then put service, whether it's into a school curriculum or into your life, if you put it in a schedule and make it part of your own life curriculum, it's a heck of a lot easier to do it, follow it, maintain it, and guide yourself and have those guidelines. That's part of your weekly life, your monthly life, or daily life in a school like you're talking about. I would have loved to have had something like that, because I found a lot of excuses when I was young not to do certain things, because I'd rather go play ball or do whatever, go play. But if I would have had that in my curriculum or in my study, that'd have been like a field trip every day. That'd be nice.
What we really have to do is to define citizenship every day as including this kind of service. I just want to give you another chance. If you were doing this and you were giving a speech here and you had a minute to say what they can do to get people to think like them who aren't here, what would your advice be? What's the best way they can get people who go to school with them but don't think as they do and aren't interested in this involved?
For me, and from the different young people and older people, the hardest part's getting started. There's a million things we can do to improve the world we live in. So one hard thing about it is picking out which one. Now, and a lot of people, including myself, can be overwhelmed by all those possibilities and all of a sudden find ourselves numb and being inactive because we just couldn't find an angle and I just couldn't pick one out, and so I'll just back up and hope somebody else is taking care of that. Don't be overwhelmed by all the things that need to be done. I don't think you got to change the world in a day. Pick out something simple. Pick out something. Look at your own feet first. I think look at your own. If you don't have the ability to travel all over and go help at a global level, look right at your feet. And I mean, start with your family. Start with yourself. Start with your family, your neighbors, your community. And if you get something on track, it's going to be a example of something that can work. And if it's succeeding, it will be an example at a manageable level for yourself that could work in many other areas. So that would be the first thing, is pick something simple and that you're incentivized by and that turns you on. And then the other thing that backs that up is to tie your shoes. It's the getting started part. That's the hardest part. I mean, 50% of the hardest part is just getting started. So when I say tie your shoes, whether it's exercise, whether it's taking care of yourself, whether it's feeding yourself spiritually or mentally, all you got to do is get started. Once you get started, you're always glad you did. And then it starts giving back. But I think most of us are inactive just because we didn't know what was around the next corner, or the crisis that we thought was a crisis actually didn't turn out to be one. There was no boogeyman under the bed. It's a lot more manageable. So don't make it into something so abstract. Start with something practical. Start small, and give some time to it.